Hey guys, it's Monday again, and that means it's time for another episode of Mondays with me, Dr. Crystal. So a couple months back, I did a video called The 10 Things That Doctors Love. After that, I got a request from Roy Thousand asking for a video about the 10 things doctors hate. So if I'm being honest, I really don't like using the word hate. There's not many things I hate in life. I do hate celery though. It's disgusting. I don't understand how anybody can eat it. And don't try to argue in the comments. I know people think it tastes like water, but you're not gonna convince me. So anyways, besides celery, I can't really think of many things I hate. So we'll do a video about the 10 things that doctors dislike. So I guess this one won't be quite as fun because I'm gonna be talking about things that I don't like. All right, here we go. In no particular order, the 10 things that doctors dislike. Number 10, missing events. So I cannot tell you how many times in residency that I had to miss something that I really wanted to be at because I had to work. Unfortunately, if you're working in the hospital, this happens even more often because the hospital never closes. So especially on holidays like Christmas or like 4th of July when everyone's out having fun at a cookout, the hospital doesn't close, and so there's still patients there that need to be taken care of, so somebody has to be there to take care of them. Especially when you're in residency, you have very little say about when you're gonna be at the hospital, so for the time you're in training, you just have to kind of suck it up. Luckily for me, I'm done with residency and now I work in the outpatient setting, so I have a little more say in the time that I have off, and I don't have to miss as many things. Number 9, wasting our time. So as a physician, my main goal is to take care of my patients. So unimportant things that kind of take my time away from that are really, really frustrating. My day is already packed full with patient visits, so if there's something else that kind of gets in the way, it takes away from the time I have to spend with patients. So say something like the printer in the clinic is malfunctioning, so you can't print something that you need to give to the patient. And you have to spend time trying to figure out how to fix this problem so that you can move on with your clinic day. There is nothing more frustrating than something like that. Number 8, always having to be on. So no matter what's going on in my life, I can't walk into a patient's room and be mopey and sad because I'm there to help the patient. They're coming to me with problems that they have. So 2 times that I can think of in particular. Once I was in clinic seeing patients and I get a call from my mom. So she knows I'm at work and she's still calling me, so I'm gonna answer. So I pick up the phone, she's crying and she got this test back from her doctor, and basically it was a health scare about her heart. So don't worry, everything ended up being okay, but at the time I was very, very scared. This is the first time that something serious was potentially going on with one of my parents. I get emotional pretty easily, so I was trying to keep it together and not cry in clinic. But I had to walk in and see a patient 2 minutes later and address their problems and pretend that nothing was going on with me. And in certain situations, that can be very, very difficult. The other time that pops to mind is I was going through a really bad breakup and I was pretty down in the dumps for a couple weeks and I just didn't want to talk to anybody, didn't really want to do anything. But I still had to put on a brave face and see my patients and care for them. So you can probably see how some doctors end up neglecting to take care of themselves because they're so focused on taking care of their patients. Number 7, missing lunch. I think this one probably goes for everyone, but especially for me because I get hangry. I do not like being hungry and I just get more and more irritated until I'm just in a terrible mood. Sometimes we just get so busy in clinic and have to catch up on documentation during lunchtime, and so you end up just not having time to go grab lunch. So I usually try to bring lunch to work so that I can kind of eat on the go if I have to, because I'm kind of like those Snickers commercials. I'm not me when I'm hungry. Okay, so number 6 and number 5 kind of go together, and these might be the most important ones that I want you guys to hear. So number 6, running late. And number 5, when patients are late. So I think these two kind of go hand in hand, which is why I wanted to do them together. I absolutely hate running late. It's so stressful because I know that I have all these patients waiting. I know some of them are probably starting to get upset. I have no idea what I'm gonna do to kind of catch myself up. I'm kind of hoping maybe I'll have a no-show so that I can get back on track. But what these people probably aren't thinking about is the reason that you're running late. And so usually it's one of 2 reasons. Either a patient before you came late and you felt like they still needed to be seen. I don't like turning people away, and so if they come late, I'm usually gonna see them unless they're unreasonably late, because if they're taking the time to come to the doctors, they probably have something that they feel needs to be addressed, and sometimes just seeing the complaint, it's something that I feel like needs to be addressed. But I will give you guys a tip. It's really, really nice if you're going to be late to give the office a call and just let them know, hey, I'm running 10 minutes late, I'm still coming. It kind of just lets us know to plan for it, and it makes me feel good that you're respecting my time enough to let me know that you're running late. Second reason I would be running late is that a patient earlier in the day needed something that required longer than a normal patient visit. And so sometimes somebody comes in with a serious problem and it takes longer to deal with, and you have to make sure that you get them to the right place or get them the right services. And so sometimes it's just inevitable. If somebody absolutely needs something that day, I'm not gonna send them out without getting them what they need. Unfortunately, sometimes this happens when a patient is scheduled in a 15-minute slot and it ends up taking an hour, and the next thing you know, you're 45 minutes behind and your next 3 patients are there. So we ask you to be patient with us. I usually try to at least knock on the door and apologize and tell them, I'm so sorry, I'm running behind, I will be with you as soon as possible. And almost everybody is really nice, but every once in a while we get a person who's just irate and so mad that they've been waiting for so long. That being said, we will in turn be patient with you. I know some situations are unavoidable and we're all gonna be late to something at times, but let us know, it goes a long way. Number 4, documentation. So unfortunately, this is a necessary evil of medicine. We spend a ton of time documenting what we talk about with patients. I don't think that there's anyone who gets into medicine thinking, oh my goodness, I can't wait to just write thousands of notes about patients. No, people go into medicine because they want to see patients, they want to help patients. They're not even thinking about the fact that they're gonna spend half their life writing notes in the future. So for those of you who don't know, for every patient I see, I have to write a note about it. So I write down everything we talked about, I write down the physical exam, and then my assessment about what's going on, and then the plan that we have come up with. So it sounds easy enough, but sometimes, especially for complicated visits, this can take longer than you would think. So back in the day, actually not too long ago, all doctors used to write their notes on paper, and patients would have paper charts. So you would go to the doctor, they would pull out your file, and then your notes would all be in that file. Now, almost everywhere have gone electronic, and so now we use EMRs, or electronic medical records, and so now these notes have gotten even more intense, they're longer, there's more stuff in them. Overall, it's a good thing because it's much better documentation, it's easier access, I can see everything that's happened in the past a lot more easily, and I don't have to try to decipher people's handwriting, but it has resulted in us spending a lot more time documenting. Number 3. Giving people bad news. Now this might actually be one I hate because nobody likes giving bad news. This is one of the really hard parts of being a doctor. Every physician is gonna have to give bad news at some point, and it's probably the least fun part of our job. Even though it's a very hard part of my job, I think it's one of the most important parts of my job because the way I deliver the information is gonna change the way the patient processes the information. So the last thing I want to do is walk into a room and tell somebody they have cancer or tell somebody that their family member is going to die. But I've had to do both of those things, and that's part of the responsibility of a physician. Number 2, not being able to get patients what they need. So say I have a patient that's having a really hard time walking, and I know that they need a walker so that they don't fall in their house. Now I have to figure out how to get them a walker. It seems simple, right? There's walkers everywhere. Especially if somebody doesn't have insurance, they don't have the funds to afford a walker. It can be a huge pain in the butt to try to get a patient something that they actually need. And that is so frustrating. It's the same thing with medications. So somebody comes in, they have a disease, you know exactly what medication they need to help them with the disease, but they can't afford it and you can't figure out how to get it for them. Now, of course, there are a lot of different programs set up to help with these issues, but a lot of them you have to apply for and qualify for. So it ends up being a long process for some patients, and it's really, really frustrating when you know they need something and you're having a hard time getting it. Number 1, when people are mean for no reason. So luckily this hasn't happened to me too many times, but I just can't stand when people are mean for no reason. And I don't know your life, I don't know what happened to you earlier in the day, but why are you being mean to me? I literally just walked in this room. I want to help you. Please give me a chance to help you. Don't just start being mean and giving me an attitude right off the bat when you don't even know me, I don't even know you. Unfortunately, that is something that I do let get to me, and it will bother me all day long if somebody's mean to me and I didn't do anything to deserve it. I just want everybody to be happy. And honestly, I really and truly want to help all of my patients, so it just kind of gets under my skin when somebody is mean to me for no reason. So that wraps it up, the 10 things that this doctor dislikes. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you, Roy, for your request. If you have any videos you'd like to see, drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next week.